birthday presents and scrap wood. Is there a better combination? And just like all good drinks, best scrap wood comes from the top shelf. Now I'm determined to keep pushing myself on this woodworking journey. So I'm going to try out some new skills again as I make a box. The box is going to be a present for a 70th birthday. So whilst I want to try something new, I've still got to maintain a degree of quality. Let's be honest though, wouldn't be one of my videos unless something went wrong. So let's have a bit of fun with this. So let's have a list here for new skills and pop that right up there to keep account. So let's have a list for mistakes here. Let's push that all the way up there. Hopefully we'll keep that number low enough we can still give this as a gift. I'm going to be looking at using these two offcuts of hardwood. I'm not sure what the first one actually is. I picked it up out of a scraps bin and cleaned it up, and the second one is walnut. And it's important to get all your pieces to the same thickness early on. So to do this, I'm going to offer this piece up to take a reference marking off of it. And once we've ripped it along its length, it's time to cross cut it over on the miter saw. One of the things I am learning is the importance of checking what your fit's like before you're going ahead and gluing. Just checking the grain orientation, everything's smooth and everything fits together nicely. It saves so much disappointment later. We're only on to measuring and I'm on mistake number 1 already. Before the project started, I took some quick measurement of the bottle. I've glued those pieces up thinking I've got enough material, and I've not realised that the measurements I've taken for the bottle are in fact going to be the inside measurements, and I'm going to need extra material to cover the outside dimensions of the box. Is there a project that goes by without me making some sort of beginner mistake? So whilst that glue's drying, I'll just take a moment to ask you to hit that like and subscribe button. Really helps out a small channel like mine. Now let's get that thing out of clamps. So because I don't want to spend ages trying to sand the inside of a box, I'm going to clean up all the faces, all the edging and give it a light sanding. Next it's time to measure out and cut all the pieces. Still blissfully unaware of that first mistake that's been made. Measure twice, cut once. One day it'll stick. Now this is mistake number 2. At this point I've realised that I ain't got enough material like I said before. I panicked that much that I glued some pieces together. I then tried to film an explanation for you guys and forgot to turn my microphone on. I'll count that as one mistake, but sadly it does take us up to a grand total of 2 mistakes and no new skills. This isn't the start that I wanted. Panic over, we're back on track. We have sides, we have ends, we have just enough room inside for the bottle. Measure twice, cut once as they say. Hopefully one day I'll learn that. Now the next task, quite simple. I need a top and a bottom, but I want them to be from a solid piece. That large piece that started with, because of them mistakes, has whittled its way down too thin. So I'm in for a piece of scrap red oak that I've got. I'm going to try resaw this because it's way too thick. What I do love about this red oak is it engraves really well, which is going to be a key part of this gift. Now here we go with our first new skill. Believe it or not, I've never actually resawn a piece of wood. My usual MO is to just use the thicknesser and take material off of it, but that's very wasteful and I'm trying to make this scrap go as far as I can. So the next part I'm going to look at is putting a rebate in both the top and the bottom. It's really important that I get the right pieces and right one, even though I think they're the same size and might be out by a touch and I want a nice snug fit. So I'm going to go over to the table saw. I'm going to set the height for about half the thickness of my side pieces, and then I'm going to run them through, moving the fence back smidgen by smidgen each time until I've got the desired width. And after a bit of cleanup, we're left with this nice tidy rebate. That's just going to help the pieces all sit together. And for the first time of doing rebating, I'm quite pleased with how that's come out. Moving on now, we're going to do the finger or box joints depending on what you want to call them. I've already set up a jig. I've done a little bit of practicing. 3 jigs, 12 attempts later, I'm finally happy that I've got it dialed in. Fairly simple, you line your piece of wood up with your jig, make a cut, move it over the top onto the fingers, make a cut, move it over, and it's eat, slink, rinse, repeat all the way through all the pieces. That should leave us with a nice solid connection that locks into place easily. And there we go with a dry fit. Only, what have we got, 2, 4, 6, only 8 clamps. Now for the world's most stressful glue up yet again. Now I say that every time, but that's because I'm yet, in about 3 years of woodworking, to have a glue up that's not been stressful. I don't know how you lot get on with them, but every time there seems to be a problem. So we're out of the clamps now and it's clean up time yet again. I use a flush trim bit to take away a little bit of the overhang, and I sand down the bottom as it had a little bit of a rock in it. It's then on to every amateur's favourite trick, a bit of glue and sanding. Next up, we've got cutting the base plate. We need to get this cut spot on so it's nice and tight and snug, and it'll help hold everything square. Not to mention you don't want your bottle of whiskey dropping out at the bottom, do you? How embarrassing would that be? And while that glue dries, we'll just have a quick recap of the score. And I've got it as 3 new skills compared to 2 mistakes. So we're in the lead. We're well into the second half. We just have to keep it steady. As long as nobody says anything daft, like, what's the worst that could happen? Idiot. Nobody wants to hear a bottle of whiskey rattling around the box. I've dug out some foam, again from the scrap pile, and cutting it to length. Now that I've got my box trimmed down and got rid of this excess piece, I've realised my next mistake. I got so excited when all my fingers fit together that I forgot to go back to the table saw and cut a little groove for the lid to go in. I've dug out a slot cutter. Don't quite think it's meant for this, but I'm going to give it a whirl. I've had to make some shims for the inside so it doesn't go too deep. I've got my inserts in now. I've clamped on some extra pieces of wood to try take away the possibility of this rocking in and out. Hopefully this will give me a bit of a firmer base to run this round. What could go wrong? Well, yeah, another mistake. It took a couple of minutes to calm down a bit. Taking the router out, I've managed to just catch the edge. There's no fix for that. I can maybe try to soften it a little bit with a block plane or something, but price you pay for learning as you go, isn't it? I never thought about how to take the router out. I thought long and hard about the depth, about putting some shims in, but never about how I was going to take it out. Never mind, let's keep going. There's only a little to do, and then we're done with this one. Chalk another one up to experience. We're back after the disappointment this morning. I've used a quick pastrami, pickle and mustard sandwich to put my head right, and now I've got this little piece to fix on to the lid. I've tried setting it just on top. You can see some gaps. I don't like that, so I'm going to recess it in. That sandwich seems to have done its job because the first thing I've tried to look at seems to work. Being a gift, this of course needed engraving with a bit of personalisation, and then it was on to gluing. This was a very awkward glue up that took a little bit of time to sort out. While the glue's drying, I'm putting the final hand sanding touches to this piece, and we are firmly in the home straight now. So it's everyone's favourite point in a project. Time to add the finish. I'm going to my go-to oil here, which is Odie's. Lovely when it buffs on, smells amazing. Leave it a short while and buff it out. So as this piece is having its final buff, I thought it were a good time just to look at how we've finished up. And it's ended 4-all. But you know what? For all the mistakes in this, I won't change this piece, because this piece shows yet again how much I'm developing, even when there's setbacks. So I'll tell you what, let's get rid of those and let's just focus on these. And as we have a look at the final beauty shots, it leaves me to reflect back on where this video's gone. It started out as a birthday gift, about trying something new, and about an entry for a scrapwood build-off. And it ended up being a video that's about keeping going, about looking for improvement, and seeing if we can just get better every single time. So, thanks for watching. I hope you have a good one in the shop, And if you're new to this channel, it'd really help me out if you could smash me that subscribe button down that bottom corner. It'll let you see plenty more videos like this one that's coming up on this side.